Hey, it's Taylor, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 things I wish I knew before I started selling on Amazon. So let's get into it. If you're new to the channel, I'm Taylor the Ecom RN. I started selling on Amazon in 2023 and went on to do over $100,000 in profit my first year. I currently do about $35,000 a month, and I want to show you how to do the same. All right, so let's jump into the 5 things I wish I knew before I started selling on Amazon. And stay tuned to the end because I'm going to give you a bonus 6th thing I wish I knew that really would have reshaped the way I thought about building my business from the ground up. The first thing I wish I knew was that you need money to start selling on Amazon. I know there are a lot of people saying that you can start selling on Amazon for $500, $1,000, $2,000. In my experience, I just think this is terrible advice. I think you need to save up a sizable amount of money, not only to launch your first product successfully, but also to take into consideration the second order you're going to need to place when you need to reorder your inventory. If you've been paying attention, you know I did a video more in depth about this subject, but essentially, you're probably going to need to place your second inventory order before your first order has completely sold out, and definitely before you've made all of your initial investment back. So essentially, you need a chunk of change to start selling on Amazon. Don't believe anyone who tells you otherwise. I think they are telling you bad advice. I would say that if I was to start this over, I would have saved up at least $5,000 to $10,000 for the product launch, and I would have saved up an additional amount of money to cover my living expenses, my cost of living, for an additional 4 to 6 months, so that after the product launches and I decide to put my effort full time into Amazon, I don't have to stress about my income or taking money out of the business, and I have all of my cost of living met. All right, the second thing I wish I knew about is the account level reserve on Amazon. So if you don't know what this is, on your Amazon Seller Central account, you will be getting paid by Amazon for the sales that you make. Now, you've probably heard of the fees associated with selling on Amazon, and they will take those fees out before they pay you. Things like the FBA fee, and the referral fee. Those things are easy to estimate and know before you even start selling your product. However, there's another thing that Amazon does with the money that they're going to pay you, and that is hold a portion of your proceeds in what they call this account level reserve in order to cover unanticipated returns or problems with your product that would require Amazon to step in and refund customers more money. So essentially, it's a built-in safety check on Amazon to protect the customer from fraudulent sellers, right? Because let's say somebody opens up their account, they're brand new, it's a month old, they list an incredible looking product and they sell 10,000 units in their first couple months of selling. But it turns out that that item that they're promising is not what they're actually delivering. And so they try to cut and run after 2 months of selling. Amazon pays out every 2 weeks. So they've been paid out 5, 6, 7 times. And now all of these customers are reaching out to Amazon with issues with their product. And Amazon is going to have to foot that bill. Well, Amazon doesn't want to foot any bill. They want you to foot it, and they want to make sure that they're covered in the case of these kind of fraudulent sellers. So they're going to hold some of your money until that period closes. Now, I actually think this is a good move on Amazon's part. It builds trust on the platform. It actually helps me be more conservative with how much money I reinvest into the business or decide to take out of the business, because that money is sitting there already earmarked for any unanticipated problems that may arise. However, that said, it can be frustrating because you think you're going to get a certain payout, and in fact, you get or can sometimes be substantially less. We're talking 25, 30% less than your actual payout, which will be held by Amazon until the following payment. So that's something to keep in mind, and it's something I wish I knew about before I started selling. All right, the third thing that I wish I knew about before I started selling on Amazon is cash flow. And now this is obviously related to item number 2, but essentially it was just not having a good understanding of how to actually manage the money that was coming into my business versus how much I was planning to spend growing the business. And I think this is an issue that, I don't know, maybe people talk about it. Maybe there are gurus out there that I could have consulted, but I also think that there's just a level of experience that you're going to need to gain when you start selling on Amazon to determine how much money you're actually going to have at your disposal, again, to either take out or to reinvest into the business. The fourth thing I wish I knew before I started selling on Amazon was inventory management. I've spoken about this previously, but essentially it can be challenging to manage your inventory, especially if you have multiple products for sale. And so I wish I had been more focused on managing my inventory and even potentially had hired earlier for someone else to help keep an eye on my inventory levels so that I could have avoided going out of stock, which I did do several times with multiple products. This cost me money, it cost me sales, it hurts the listing. It's just a bad time all around when you run out of stock. And so that inventory management component was something that I wish I had paid more attention to when I first started selling. And the fifth thing that I wish I had known when I first started selling on Amazon was seller support. Now, seller support is kind of notorious. They get a bad rap. I know where people are coming from when they complain about seller support, but I also see that Amazon has quite a feat on their hands when they're trying to manage all of the sellers on their platform and maintain a high level of trust from the customer that they're going to deliver the value that they promise. But that said, there has been some frustrations, particularly with the algorithm that seller support appears to be using. I'm pretty sure they update this algorithm, and every time they do, it will go in and flag various listings across Amazon for any number of reasons. Now, I personally have been flagged for having essentially illegal batteries in a product, but my product is not electronic. It doesn't contain any batteries. It's not even supposed to work with any product that uses batteries. And so these kind of things can be very frustrating. And when I first started dealing with seller support, all that frustration would come out when I would talk to them on the phone, and it just wasn't very productive. And looking back on it now and understanding that there is a process, an appeal process to deal with any issues on your account and how to talk to seller support, how to work with them to give them the documentation they need or the correct verbiage that they need to fix your issue would have gone a long way. And I think that's just, again, another experience thing. When you first start, every little issue that happens to your business seems like a big deal. And looking back on it after some time, you realize, God, that really wasn't such a big deal. And when it happens in the future, you just you can take it in that context. You have some perspective and you can just relax, go through the process, work with seller support and get your issue resolved. There's a lot of support out there, whether it's from other Amazon sellers or whether it's from Amazon seller support themselves. Or even, like I've mentioned before, the new seller program on Amazon. They want you to make money on their platform because they make money when you make money. So if you make that as easy as possible for them, they're going to make it as easy as possible for you. Okay, and as promised, the sixth bonus thing that I wish I had known when I first started on Amazon was that you can sell your Amazon seller account. Now, that might seem obvious to a lot of you, but to me, I don't know why, it was just not something that I thought about when I first got into selling on Amazon. The fact that I could sell my business essentially, and that there's a whole marketplace for e-commerce businesses online being bought and sold. And that would have totally changed my perspective and how I set up my account. I would have probably started hiring virtual assistants and a team earlier. I definitely would have gone into the business and creating the business with the mindset that I need to build systems and have procedures in place so that I can step away from the business and it can still function. There are also other things you want to take into consideration if you want to sell your account in the future, such as what would a potential buyer find valuable? So these are things like, is your product consumable or can it be eligible for subscribe and save? Because that recurring monthly revenue is going to be very appealing to a potential buyer. Another thing is, like I said, do you have systems in place and a team in place so that the business can function without you being involved on a day-to-day basis? And another thing that this brings up is, how long do you plan to be selling on Amazon? If I was planning to sell on Amazon for the next 10 years, that would change the way that I approach my account and how I set it up and the kind of products that I launch versus if I want to try to exit my business in 24 months. That kind of exit is going to require a much more focused account building process so that you can set all these things up while you're actually creating them, as opposed to having to go back after the fact and fix all the issues so that a seller would find your account appealing. All right, so those are the things I wish I knew when I first started selling on Amazon. Of course, there are countless other things that I learned along the way. If you'd like to learn from me and all my experience and all the things I wish I knew when I started, you can check out my Skool community. The link is in the description below, and I'll see you on the next video.